Good afternoon and welcome to the Mobile City Planning Commission meeting for May 15th. I'd like to take a moment to review our general operating procedures. This meeting is divided into two sessions, public hearing and then deliberation. In the public hearing, we will call an agenda item. The applicant makes their presentation. Commission members ask questions, and then members of the public make their comments to the commission. Only 4 people speak for an agenda item and 4 people against. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, subject to questions by the commissioners. And at 1 minute, a speaker will have a warning beep asking you to summarize your comments. If there is an opposition to an application, the applicant has a 2-minute rebuttal time period. If you do intend to speak, come to the bottom of the stairs, speak into the podium, provide your name and address for the record. Please direct all your comments to the commissioners only and not to the applicant, the staff, or the audience. After we hear all applications, we then go into deliberation where we will discuss each application with input from the staff as necessary, but without input from the audience. We will then vote on each application, and the results of that voting can be learned from the planning department. If issues arise during deliberation that were not addressed in public hearing, we have the discretion to allow additional comments in order to resolve those, or we will call for an application to be held over for discussion at a future meeting. Occasionally, we will have commissioners recuse themselves from an application and voting. That does not mean that they are directly involved with the application or the applicant, but depending on the circumstances, ethical rules do require a recusal. If we have a recusal, a supernumerary will vote in their stead. Reminder to everyone that the Planning Commission makes final decisions on subdivisions with appeals of these to the Circuit Court. Planning Commission is a recommending body for rezonings, conditional use permits, and planned developments. The City Council makes the final decision on these applications, and all appeals of City Council decisions are also to the Circuit Court. Please do me a favor, turn all your cell phones to vibrate or silent. Any other electronic devices, the same. Commissioners and staff, please turn on your microphones when speaking. I'll go ahead and call the roll. Myself, Jay Stubbs, present. Mr. Kirk Matei, Ms. Jennifer Denson, Mr. Harry Brislin, Mr. Larry Dorsey. Here. Mr. Chad Anderson. Here. Mr. Matt Anderson. Mr. Nick Amberger. Here. Mr. Josh Woods. Here. Mr. Kenny Nichols. Here. Ms. Ellie Edwards. We do have a quorum for the application items today. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
This agenda will pass and we will move forward. Number 1 on the agenda is a holdover from a previous meeting. We do have a recusal, Mr. Kirk Matei. We still maintain a quorum for this agenda item. This is at 61 South McGregor Avenue, subdivision of 3 lots right at 1 acre. Is the applicant present? All right, the applicant is not present. This application is still on the agenda for today. Is there anyone else here in the audience to speak for this agenda item?
Mr. Chairman, let me advise the council that, or the commission, excuse me, that Mr. Gray emailed the staff and myself Monday or Tuesday of this week saying that he would need more time to get this worked out. He sent a follow-up email stating or proposing that if he could make the driveway lot 4 and deed it to everybody, then there wouldn't need to be a road maintenance agreement. And I replied to him this morning saying that I'm not sure it can be a legal lot of record, but even if it is, we would need a road maintenance agreement. He said, okay, well, I need a holdover because my surveyor has been out of town and I haven't been able to change the plan. And I said, that shouldn't be a problem. He said, great, thanks. I didn't tell him he didn't need to show up. I know there's a couple of people here that were here last time that want to speak today. So I'll let the commission handle it as you see fit.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson. I will ask commissioners to review your comments folder on your devices. This is from the previous meeting. I'll now ask if there's anyone else in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this agenda item. We do have one hand raised. Okay. Please come on down. Make sure you say your name and address for the record.
I'm Meg Matte. My address is 3805 Warren Court. I just would like to address some misconceptions that were recorded at the last Planning Commission meeting. First, we do have and always have had deeded access to Warren Court. It was conveyed to my property in August of 1955 from Gladys Field to Ellen Betty, and I have a copy of it if you want it. Second, we acknowledge that Mr. Gray is the owner of Warren Court. We've been living there almost 30 years. We had a close relationship with Dr. Gray, the previous owner, but we have never known any of the Grays to maintain Warren Court. When it needed resurfacing 25 or so years ago, those of us who were living there paid for it. We would welcome Mr. Gray participating in a joint maintenance agreement with us, but we have not had any communication with him whatsoever. And as far as trash and garbage pickup, it's on McGregor for all 4 houses. Again, it's a 10-foot wide paved drive that city trucks, including the fire engines, cannot get down. We appreciate the staff's recommendation to deny the request for a 3rd lot. However, just to be clear, we want to let you know that we are most concerned about the additional traffic accessing Warren Court. Our position is simple and reasonable. We ask that the matter be denied with the stipulation that Warren Court not be used as a primary access for any future development on that lot. Considering there are already 4 homes with 9 cars and 10 children who live or visit on a daily basis.
Thank you, Ms. Matte.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Ms. Matte, so just as far as the operation of the neighbors that live around you and you guys, you pull your trash every trash day out to McGregor. And that's where it's, and then you pull your cart back. And,
yes.
And as far as and again, just to your knowledge, medical emergency again, I'm not holding you to it. If you recall, has an ambulance ever been down through there before?
Ambulance can get down, but a fire engine cannot.
But they have to back out, I would assume, probably.
Ambulance?
Yes, ma'am.
Could probably turn around at the end.
Definitely not a fire engine.
Correct. We had a fire event, a smoke event about 20 years ago, and the fire engine had to stay on McGregor.
They had to run the hose from McGregor all the way.
Right. It was not a fire, so they didn't need the hose, but they came down McGregor. They ran down McGregor.
Gotcha.
Brought fans and.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners regarding this application? All right, thanks again, Ms. Matte. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this agenda item. All right, seeing none, we will move on to
Mr. Chair,
go.
before we do move on.
Go ahead.
Mr. Anderson, as far as ask for a holdover, no time was specified. It just a holdover. We've already held it over 30 days to kind of work this thing out, I guess.
Correct, and I don't think there's been any communication between Mr. Gray and the neighbors. Charlie might have taken my email this morning saying it shouldn't be a problem, like, oh, I don't need to show up. I didn't try to indicate that to him. Certainly, if this is denied, he'll be back with another plan in the future. So whatever y'all want to.
And if denied, he can't come back for a year.
On 6 months on the subdivision? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Doug, I have one more question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Looking at the staff report, one of the conditions for recommending denial was there being no shared maintenance agreement between the property owners. Now, Ms. Potato did, note that Mr. Gray owns the road, but with that being a condition of this, is there anything that would legally compel the other property owners along Warren Court to participate in that agreement?
No, I mean, it's all voluntary, but you would think that everyone would want to participate so they don't get stuck with having to pay everything themselves.
Right.
These are all reasonable people that
Sure.
live on that street, so, but no, nobody can legally make them, but I think they would welcome that.
For the benefit of my commissioners, in a perfect scenario, there would be not a 14-foot right-of-way, but a 50-foot right-of-way. It would be a common area, a common parcel of land that all of those affected owners have an interest in, and it would be clean. I mean,
Sure.
I think the challenge of it is being 14 feet wide. I mean, it's really not much more than a driveway, and best I can tell, it looks like it's serving 4 houses already. So it's already, just in my opinion, stretched at its maximum limit.
And the only thing that's making this an issue is Lot 3 touching Warren Court. If it didn't have that access, this would not be an issue.
Right.
But I don't know what the best solution is.
Well, I think that's
Did someone else have anything else to say? Mr. Amberg, are we good? Okay. We'll move on to agenda item number 2. This is a subdivision at 1600 University Boulevard South, Logan Cottages subdivision. We can welcome back Mr. Matei. This subdivision application currently is recommended, or was recommended for denial. However, we have updated application materials from staff. I would ask if the agent or applicant representing 195 LLC is in the audience. Yes. Okay. So what we have here is an original, as you make your way down, we have an original staff recommendation for denial due to 3 different items from the application. It was subsequently reviewed. Basically, fire came back and said that they were good. We now have an agenda item that is recommended for approval pending 18, or with 18 different considerations. And I have that document here. Staff, did you provide that? Okay. So what I would ask, sir, is if you will state your name and address for the record, and then if you have had adequate time to review those considerations, also pending any comments or commissioners from staff, then we can take this from a denial to on the docket.
Sure. Thank you. Corey Bronenkamp, 549 Congress Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36603. And I am good with the conditions pending approval. So I am open to any questions y'all may have.
I'll ask any commissioners if they have any questions. This is a subdivision of 7 lots at 1.67 acres, and you can review your application materials.
Wait, so what changed between the staff report that we have and now?
I'll turn it over to staff.
So with the exception of the lot widths and the width to depth ratio, which if that's a common design standard in the area is routinely waived by the commission, the issue is fire access from Ezekiel, if you direct your attention to the map, from Ezekiel Street onto that private roadway. They have since revised the design of that after having spoken with the fire department, and the fire department is now okay with that particular design, and we do have comments from them stating as much. So in looking back over that, if the commission is amenable to the approval with those waivers for lot width and width to depth, then we can approve it subject to the conditions that are provided to the applicant.
questions or comments from commissioners for the applicant, and then I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience in support of this agenda item.
This question is for staff and with applicant. The common area, is that the proposed retention area? for
Yes, sir.
this? Okay,
It hadn't been designed yet, but the low point of the site is that north corner.
Okay.
So it makes sense to put a pond there.
thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
going back to the, I guess what the fire department now is deemed acceptable. I guess what was originally proposed, and remind me, was that a hammer, I guess, at the end that we were looking at instead of this, I guess, maybe half hammer?
I can answer that if that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was simply just a private drive that terminated, that was 20 feet wide that couldn't handle a fire apparatus. So I got with Captain Moses and went to Exhibit D of the IFC, and it provides several examples that you can use. And I just pulled this example, popped it on the site plan, and she was fine with it.
Gotcha, thanks.
Sure.
And just to clarify, Mr. Woods, excuse me, Mr. Woods, what you see behind you and what's provided is the revised design that was approved by fire.
Is there anyone else in the audience here to speak for this agenda item at 1600 University Boulevard South? Speaking for it? Oh, yeah. Would you like to make comments? All right, please come on down to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please speak clearly into the microphone.
Okay. My name is Nathan Poe. My address is 870 West Briar Court, Mobile, Alabama. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. The proposal supports Mobile's growth for smart infill development, minimum infrastructure demand, and increased tax revenue. Right now, the land is vacant, holding stormwater drainage and so on that could potentially cause damage to city property and other citizens' property. This development would allow for proper drainage and prevention from that damage. Infrastructure, there's a study that shows how much traffic is done on University right now. This would add about 70 trips per day. That's a 0.02% increase for traffic there, minimizing anything for infrastructure. The estimated benefits for the city of Mobile. 1 year total revenue, of course, I'm working off of estimates, but it's about $94,395. That's about $10,400 for annual property tax, $70,000 one-time construction sales tax, approximately $14,000 additional dollars for one-time permit and inspection fees. There's a reoccurring annual revenue after 1 year of about $45,400. That comes in, again, $10,400 in property tax, $35,000 in indirect economy activities such as local businesses and schools. And then after a 10-year property tax estimation, that's a revenue of almost exactly $104,000 coming into the city. Let's see here. Each household is going to contribute to, obviously, utility revenue, increased local spending, groceries, gas, dining, entertainment, school, and service funding. And just to sum it all up, it makes sense, again, due to the $94,000 in year one revenue. There's no new need for infrastructure. There's a minimum traffic increase of only 70 trips per day, improved stormwater retention. It revitalizes long vacant land. This land's been vacant for years, and supports the R1 zoning and infill growth.
Thank you very much. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that is here to speak for this agenda item. Anyone here to speak against it or have questions towards it? Seeing none, we will move on. Number 3 on the agenda, this is under new application items. This is a subdivision at 2900 Old Shell Road, the Hayes Place subdivision. Subdivision of one lot at 0.35 acres. It's recommended or up for consideration for approval with 9 listed conditions. Applicant is present. Do you have any questions regarding the conditions? Are you good with sign of thumbs up on those conditions? The applicant is present and gave a thumbs up. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that is here to speak for this agenda item in 2900 Old Shell Road. Anyone here to speak against it? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 4. This is a subdivision at 2022 and 2102 Shelton Beach Road Extension, the Sasanto Miller subdivision. This is 2 lots at just under 2.5 acres. Is the applicant present? Applicant's present, wave of a hand. Are you in agreement or have any questions regarding the 7 listed conditions for approval? Thumbs up on the 7 listed conditions. Is there anyone else in the audience here to speak for this agenda item on Shelton Beach Road Extension? Anyone here to speak against it or have questions towards it? We will move on to number 5 on the agenda. This is a subdivision at the south side of Raven Drive at the south terminus of Cardinal Drive East, extending south to the east terminus of East Gulf Field Drive. This is the subdivision of 2 lots, just under 60 acres.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, go ahead.
Jay Watkins, Maynard Nexon, 11 North Water Street, Suite 24290, 36602. Mr. Chairman, we are in agreement with staff recommendations. We have one question with respect to engineering comments, and that would be comment F regarding coordination of the required drainage easements. We just want to ask if that could be a post-recording item. The development of this Lot 1 is still pending, and I'm not sure that we will be in a position to agree on the exact location of drainage easements prior to recording the plat. So we would ask that that requirement be made prior to permitting so that the applicant and the developer can work with engineering on the location of potential drainage easements once the retention pond and other facilities are determined and located.
Engineering has no problem with that.
Thank you.
Other than that, we're very good and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this application? All right, thank you, Mr. Watkins. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience who is here to speak for this agenda item. Anyone have questions towards this application? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to it? Question for staff with respect to the comment from the applicant on the conditions. Would that fall under condition 2 or 3?
It would actually fall under condition 5.
5,
And we
thank
can
you.
just state that compliance with engineering comments as amended, and then make the change in the decision letter.
All right, thank you very much. Number 6 on the agenda, this is a subdivision at 4297 Riviere Duchesne Road, the Duchesne subdivision. This is a subdivision of 3 lots at just under 11.3 acres. It is up for consideration of approval based on 10 listed conditions. We'll go ahead and have our applicant speak. Go ahead.
Zeke Hudson with Rowe Engineering and Surveying, 3502 Laughlin Drive, Mobile. My only question is, there's a request for a 25-foot radius at the intersection of River Duchesne and Interstate 10.
Condition number 4.
Yes. Right now, obviously that's an overpass. There is no surface road there. So we're hoping we could do away with that radius.
I'll have to defer to engineering or Mr. Amberger.
Oh, it wasn't an engineering comment.
I will add for the commissioners know, he's exactly right. River Duchesne is an overpass there, so it's not like it's an at-grade intersection with interstate, so there's not a need for that radius.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that is here for agenda item number 6, 4297 Riviera Duchesne Road, to speak for it, have questions towards it, or in opposition to it? All right, moving on. Number 7 on the agenda is a dual application. This is a subdivision and a modification at 4350 Moffett Road, the Fred Marshall Court subdivision. On the subdivision, there are potentially 8 listed conditions. And on the modification, commissioners should note that there's potentially 8 findings of fact and then 18 listed conditions. Go ahead, Mr. Byrd.
Jerry Byrd, Byrd Survey. We have no problem with the considerations for the subdivision or the modified PUD. I talked with 2 ladies right here that has concerns about the development. I just wanted to put on record basically what I told them. The development, 10 buildings, 5 units each. The units are comprised of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. The requirement to live there, resident requirement, is a minimum age of 55 years, which with no one under that. I mean, maybe a visit, but not beyond complete residency. One of the ladies lives next to a detention pond. Had concerns about that. We have 4 detention ponds on the site. And I had told them that, yes, the detention calculations would be reviewed by the city and approved prior to construction. There would be a maintenance plan. Should be maintained, report turned in once a year, maintained if necessary. This development is financed through the Alabama Housing Finance Authority. One of their requirements is the current owner, developer, cannot sell this development for 20 years. So they will be honoring the requirements of the minimum age of 55. But that's, I think, everything I told them. And if you have any other questions, maybe I can answer them.
For commissioners, any questions or comments for Mr. Byrd and this application?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Byrd, the concept for this, I guess, expansion of the existing, can you shed a little light on what that would look like, what the field looks like there for it? I guess, what's the I guess, that we're looking to allow more multifamily developments? What's it kind of look like? Is it going to match what's there now, or kind of explain that a little bit?
No, they're going to demolish the existing structures. And these are all single-story, 26 feet tall. So it will look like large houses as you ride through there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from commissioners? All right, thank you, Mr. Byrd. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience who is here to speak for this agenda item or have questions regarding this agenda item. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this? Reminder to please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, thank you. I think I have more questions than opposition.
Your name and address.
My name is Brenda Bolton. I live at 310 West Street in Flo Claire, Midtown. But today I'm representing Miss Matthews, who owns the 4320 property that is adjacent to this development. One of my main concerns is that the Tyler CSS site does not show the letter that Ms. Matthews submitted. And so my question is whether or not her concerns were shared with commissioners prior to this meeting. I don't, now she hand-delivered that letter and has a receipt for it, but only the Smith letter and the Brown letter show on the CSS site. So I would like for all the commissioners to have seen her input before you consider this case. And that, in addition to a couple of little errors that are in the staff report, it seems to us, cause us to think that a carryover is in order. And we would like for the commission to ask the developer to meet with neighbors and hear our questions and respond to them. I'll tell you, you should hire Mr. Byrd to stay out in the lobby as people come in, because he did a great job of sort of allaying our fears and answering our questions. And so we don't have as many questions at this point as we did before speaking with him. And I think those that remain and the kind of commitments that we would like to have from the developer and manager of the site could be addressed in another meeting. So a carryover, I guess, is our main request here today. In addition to that, our concerns fall in two categories. One is traffic. I don't know if you're very familiar with that stretch of Moffett Road from Wolf Ridge Road to Forest Hill Drive, but for years it's been known as Bloody 98 because of the number of fatal and serious crashes. And in fact, Online describes that stretch of Moffett Road as a significant route, I'm quoting here, known locally as Bloody 98 due to its history of fatal crashes. It's a major thoroughfare connecting Mobile with Mississippi, often carrying heavy traffic, including semi-trucks, and I can tell you about the 18-wheelers. Drivers should remain vigilant. So this is already a traffic problem right at this intersection where the drive will come into Moffett Road. In addition, immediately across the street from the drive is the main entrance exit into Gulffield subdivision, which is an added potential traffic and snarlement there. So we would like to see the commission, anything the commission can do to influence traffic and engineering to consider some traffic calming devices. And I can tell you that a warning sign over the road, which is already there at Terryton Drive, has no impact on drivers at all. When I'm turning into my sister's driveway, I take my life in my hands because the flow of traffic is so continuous and fast, and the drivers do not want to slow down to give me time to turn into her private drive. So traffic is a major concern that needs to be looked at. And in addition to that, we did have concerns about the detention pond. They serve a useful purpose. We understand that, but the largest of the ponds is directly adjacent to my sister's back lot line. If it fills with debris and trash, if it's not well maintained, that's going to all, blow across her property. I hear my warning ding. And in addition to that, if it fills so that it's not functioning properly and overflows, her lot is much lower, and so it will overflow onto her lot right to her back door. So we'd like for that to be looked at. We strongly object to reducing landscaping requirements because we would like to see across that property a vegetative screen, since, an actual buffer zone is not part of the ordinance for that type property. A vegetative screen across there would resolve a lot of the homeowner problems at 4320 and 30 and beyond 4350. So thank you, and I hope you'll consider those questions.
Thank you, Ms. Bolt.
Do you have a copy of the letter?
Yeah, that's my comment from up here is, do we have a copy of the letter that was hand delivered?
We've written notes on it.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a copy of that letter, and it was uploaded to the public comments part of the website, just not the actual case. So it's available for public review, it's just not on the case, but we can add that to the case after this meeting.
So it's not on the Tyler site, but will be, is that? I just didn't look in the right place, and I've looked. Okay, thank you.
I'll ask if there's any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this Moffett Road subdivision and modification application. Yes, sir.
With respect to traffic, I've looked at a lot of properties on 98 up more towards Wilmer. What has 158 done to reduce the amount of 18-wheelers? Because I drive that road a lot, and it feels like a lot of the traffic that comes in from Mississippi now takes 158 to 65, bypassing that stretch of 98. But do we know what those numbers look like? I realize when you live there, it might look different than the stats.
I don't know that residents there have noticed any change in the traffic pattern in this section of Moffett Road. I think what you're talking about is further out, that new state road was supposed to alleviate some of the traffic.
Right, it would, but that traffic used to come down from Hattiesburg to Loosedale all the way to 65 on 98. Well, now a lot of that goes 158 to 65, which at least my common sense would tell me has made some form of difference. But I was wondering if we could get that information to see if there has been a real tangible difference, because it hasn't been there that long.
I think if you ask residents, their answer would pretty universally be that there's been no alleviation of traffic in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Where this entryway will enter and exit Moffett Road. Thank you.
I believe the commissioner would also probably like some data from our traffic team. Y'all have any comments?
In respect to the commissioner's question about the traffic counts, they are available on the DOT's state website. You can look them up and see if it has been changed. Regarding the traffic concerns, right now, it's right next to a school area where people go to school every single day, and the school crossings. There's a lot of traffic there due to that. But people can safely enter and exit the school. I don't know how they would not be able to safely enter and exit an apartment complex.
All right, thank you, traffic. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience. Thank you, Ms. Bolton. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that is here to speak in opposition to this agenda item. Sir, this is your application? Did I skip over that? Mr. Byrd made comments. This is on number 7. Okay, so I asked if there's anyone here to speak for it, and Mr. Byrd came down, so you guys want to make additional comments, but you can now come down if there's no more opposition and have a 2-minute rebuttal to answer the questions. Yes, sir. Sorry about that. I was getting there.
Rashawn Figures.
Raise that microphone up a little bit. State your name and address for the record.
Rashawn Figures, 7,000 Champions Run, Mobile, Alabama. I wanted to talk to some of her concerns. We're not planning on reducing any landscaping that even the neighborhood would want. This is a market rate development. It just has affordability. The affordability is for seniors that are 55 and over. The traffic problem that she's talked so eloquently about is an ALDOT problem. But as he said, there are traffic calming devices all along, maybe a mile or less than a mile from this site where there's a school. There's a crossing guard there every morning, and they've just installed sidewalks for them to cross. So this is a safer zone than some of the other zones in further up or further down. The detention pond. The detention ponds are to city specs. As Mr. Byrd said, we have a 20-year period that we have to maintain, and that the city and the federal government and the state maintains it, makes us maintain it for its affordability. At any time that we do not maintain this property, the state and the federal government will come back and take it from us. So that's not possible with the funding sources that this project has. And I would like to answer any questions that the commission has. This is also a part of the city's plan to put back a lot of affordable units. The city has already blessed this. This came out of community development with Jamie Roberts. They've already okayed this development.
Not a question, but just a comment as you go through the design of this. With your retention pond, sometimes we found in the built environment that if we can try to mimic the previous sheet flow, if the property was not tied to drainage systems, that ends up being a better result for the adjacent neighbors if you're not able to tie to a city drainage system. So just as your engineering team continues on with those retention ponds, try to have them look at scenarios where it's not just point discharges, leave one, the pond collecting water and one pipe leaving it, maybe spread out over a longer thing to try to mimic that original sheet flow. It just ends up being a better result for everybody that's adjacent to it. We had a lot of luck in other internal developments when they're having to deal with situations like this.
And we're fine with that. Any comments that the city has with the detention pond, we will implement. Me as the owner, I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, it looks like you got them spread out real good across the property, which that's helpful. But it's always better to, again, try to spread out those points where it's leaving. So
yes, sir.
Really just a comment for your designers.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments for the applicant from commissioners?
I would like to add one more thing.
Go ahead.
This is time sensitive. The Alabama Housing Finance Authority has a meeting in June to where they issue tax credits. If this misses that, it will not only be detrimental for the project, but detrimental for the city as a whole.
What is the date of that meeting?
26, I think.
All right. Any other questions, comments from the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Figures.
Thank you.
From my seat, just a reminder to commissioners, there's two other notes in the public comments for this agenda item, in addition to Ms. Matthews' printed comments and representation by Ms. Bolton. Moving on to number 8. This is a dual application of subdivision and modification at 5808 US Highway 90 West. It's a re-subdivision of Lot 2, Theodore Oaks Shopping Center. This is the subdivision of 3 lots, 5.7 acres, and on the modification of a previously planned unit development, allowing shared access and parking between multiple building sites to modify the lot lines in coordination with the proposed subdivision. This has been recommended for holdover by the planning staff until the June 12th Planning Commission meeting. Is the applicant present? Are you in agreement with the holdover till June 12th? The applicant is present and with a nod of the head and thumbs up. Since it's on the agenda, is there anyone else in the audience that is here to speak or have questions or in opposition to this agenda item at 5808 US Highway 90 West? All right, seeing none, we will move on to number 9 on the agenda. Mr. Kenny Nichols is recused. We still maintain a quorum for this agenda item, which is a dual application of a subdivision and a rezone at 720 Museum Drive, the Fort Hardman subdivision. This is the re-subdivision of lots 1 and 2. Those 2 lots comprise just over 6 acres. And the rezone application is from single-family residential R1 to neighborhood business suburban district B2. And note that this does fall in the neighborhood general subdistrict of the Village of Spring Hill overlay. Is the applicant present?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
There need to be a few modifications suggested for the subdivision consideration.
All right, so we're in subdivision section. We have 8 conditions listed.
So this location is located within the Spring Hill overlay, and that is part of Article 13 of the UDC, the Unified Development Code. So under the considerations, items 3, 4, and 6 will need to be modified. For number 3, we would recommend it be changed to depiction of the front yard setback along both street frontages in compliance with Section 6C8 of the subregs and Article 13 of the UDC. For number 4, we would suggest the change of placement of a note on the final plat stating that future development or redevelopment of the site shall comply with the development provisions of Article 13 and, where applicable, Article 3 of the UDC. And then for number 6, a placement of a note on the final plat stating all traffic engineering comments modified to refer to Article 13 and, where applicable, Article 3.
So that represents no material change to the applicant or his application.
That's correct, and I did discuss this with Ms. Sherman earlier.
Great. All right, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Kathy Sherman with Burton Property Group, 41 West I-65, Service Road North. And I just had one more additional comment to add to what Mr. Hoffman just indicated. Under the rezoning portion of our application, there is an engineering comment, number 4, pertaining to maintaining existing detention facilities as constructed and approved. And part of our purchase of this property, there is a provision where we're going to adjust the existing detention and we're going to be relocating some of that. And so I just don't want that to be a condition that we can't modify the existing, because that is part of the structure of this transaction.
We just need to make sure that that existing detention pond that was built with the fire station is either relocated or maintained by somebody. So we need to leave that comment in there. It's a standard note comment.
Can we just make it subject to agreement?
I'm sorry?
Can we just make it subject to our agreement on that relocation and how that is to
Well,
be?
it'll all be taken care of during the land disturbance process.
Okay.
When the lot lines get moved and you develop your new site, we'll make sure that that doesn't get approved until the detention is relocated or taken care of.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Ms. Sherman?
Yes, I am.
Would you like verbiage in there? No, we're good.
Yes, it would be nice to say that we're not going to, because currently it reads that any existing detention facility shall be maintained as it was constructed. And that's not the intent. The intent is we're going to modify that existing detention facility. And we will do it in accordance with plans that are submitted and approved, but the intent is that it will be modified.
Okay,
But it says existing is also in there, so it could be either one, so there's not really a need to change it.
Right, either that or you can add existing or as it was constructed or modified.
Okay.
That would be fine too. We'll just have to review it before the plat gets signed.
Because it says existing or proposed, so that is the entire universe of all drainage potentialities.
Yeah, it goes without saying that it's going to be adjusted accordingly to be in line with the agreement, so.
Sure, okay, that'd be great, thank you.
Moving that around, is that going to impact the I know we're in the rezoning, is that going to impact the subdivision?
No, sir, the point of the re-subdivision takes that into account. So you'll see that we're just adjusting one of those boundary lines slightly by 0.24 acres. And that's the part of the pond that's being impacted. And so we're going to take that water and adjust that pond and then create another pond that's going to be in that far left corner of your site plan drawing up there.
Okay.
That will take that water into account.
Yeah, for the sake of my commissioners, when it's all over and done with, there's going to be basically a common detention pond that the developer is going to maintain, and basically the city will no longer have to maintain the pond. That's going to be the premise of the agreement, where they're going to take over that maintenance in agreement with us providing that little piece of real estate. So it's a very, very good situation for the city.
That applies to all detention ponds. I mean, that note, the owner has to maintain it. Can we do that for all of them?
It's not the maintenance part that I had a problem with. It was just not, that we couldn't modify the existing one on the fire station lot. That was my only clarification I was trying to make, because that is the plan, is for us to modify the fire station's detention to move it to a common detention area.
To put it, yeah, put it,
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments from commissioners for the applicant? All right, thank you, Ms. Sherman. I'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that is here to speak for this agenda item at 720 Museum Drive. Yes, sir.
Philip Burton, Burton Property Group. We are the developer behind the project. Obviously, I'm speaking on behalf of the project development team, but we are obviously in support of it, and just want to make the one comment that the zoning designation that we are going for, B2, it is within the surrounding area. It touches on the north property line, and the corner of Old Shell and McGregor is all B2. So we felt it was appropriate to go with the B2 zoning, getting the use variance to have a lesser impact than a B3. So just want to kind of make that broad statement. So.
Any further questions or comments from commissioners for the developer? I'll ask if there's anyone else here. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Linda St. John, 320 Avalon Street, Mobile 36608. The Village of Spring Hill has been working with Philip Burton and his team on developing the Armory property according to the Village of Spring Hill master plan for about 2 years now. Philip has demonstrated that he not only has a professional interest in the property, but a personal interest in the village as well. As part of our collaboration on the best development for this property, he has agreed to add an additional $350,000 to his bid to be used to implement the Village of Spring Hill streetscapes according to our master plan in front of this development on North McGregor Avenue. Our planners, Dover Cole & Partners, suggested 20 years ago during our planning process that this was the perfect location for a boutique hotel in the village because of the property's close proximity to I-65, Langen Park, Spring Hill College, the University of South Alabama. Langen Park draws thousands of out-of-town visitors each year participating in tennis tournaments, disc golf tournaments, visitors to the art gallery, the botanical gardens, Pixie Playhouse, and soon the city's 3 Mile Creek Trail, currently under construction. Spring Hill College needs accommodations for parents' weekend, graduation, and weddings at the college chapel. The University of South Alabama needs accommodations for parents, weekend graduations, and football games. In the comments by city staff on this application, they state that a zoning change should be in the community's best interest and needs. These points validate this statement by the city. The city's comments also state that according to the UDC, zoning changes should be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The Village of Spring Hill Master Plan, the blueprint for Spring Hill, supports a boutique hotel on this property in Chapter 4. The city's comments also state that the Planning Commission should base their decisions for a zoning change on several factors, including the surrounding developments. All properties surrounding this proposed development are commercial or civic. There is no contiguous residential properties, and therefore there would be no adverse residential impact. They also state that it should be appropriateness and compatibility of the proposed zoning classifications. As Philip just stated, a B2 zoning is consistent with the zoning designations of the properties surrounding the development. They also stated the timing of the request. The Village of Spring Hill plan was initiated 20 years ago and reflects the vision of over 600 Spring Hill residents who participated in the planning process. We have waited 20 years for this type development in Spring Hill, and we applaud the Burton Property Group for their willingness to make such a significant investment in our master plan for the village. We think the timing request is long overdue. It has been proven over and over again that projects such as this one provide confidence for other developers to pursue additional improvements in our village, and we wholeheartedly support this project and hope that you will too. Thank you. Any questions for me?
As a representative of the Village of Spring Hill, any questions from commissioners for Ms. St. John?
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak for this agenda item? All right, this will be the last speaker in support of. And just to get ahead of this, is there anyone else that here has questions towards this agenda item or will have opposition to it? Okay.
Hi, I'm Lidale Yance. Live at 4812 Munns Court, Mobile in Ravine Woods. And I'm coming before y'all as a resident of Spring Hill. My neighborhood backs up to this area. I'm also a commercial broker in Alabama, a Mobile Tennis Center player. So I have a lot of reasons to support this project. And Linda took a lot of my points, but she did a much more eloquent job. But I just wanted to say that I think this would be a great asset to our area of Spring Hill, but also for the city. We don't have many boutique hotels. If you look at developments across the state, whether it's Lane Park and Mountain Brook Village, and what an asset that's been, that boutique hotel, the Grand Bohemian. If you look, the Grand Hotel's been there a long time and is a resort property, but obviously that is an enhancement to the area. And so even myself with children in my neighborhood backs up to this. I think it's an area that has been run down and it's recently received improvement. And I think this could be just a catalyst for the area and to keep it going. And again, I just wanted to say that I think if you look at retail and where it's going today and the more progressive developments, it's mixed use. And again, I think this would be a great asset to our city. We could even be ahead of Fairhope on something. And I just think, and then again, as she said, the exit right off 65, and it services the college, the tennis center, parents, those visiting. So I'm strongly in support of the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that'll wrap up the four, and I saw two hands for question or opposition. If both of you'd like to, one at a time, make your way down. And a reminder to please state your name and address for the record.
All right, there, Roosevelt Edwards, 3769 Shipes Lane, Mobile, Alabama, 36608. And I think I've reviewed the staff notes. I think we have some staff note changes. Is that what you're saying?
The suggestion was for the subdivision regulations to make sure that they properly reference the Spring Hill overlay requirements versus the standard requirements for a B2 site.
Those will be promoted when?
Well, they have been discussed and presented to the Planning Commission, and if they are approved today, they would be in the letter of decision that would be prepared by tomorrow.
Thank you. So infrastructure is one of the issues that we're concerned about within the community. The new development which they're proceeding with right now, I guess it's just not a mature plan, which some of the residents in the community have not fully ingested. So I'm still waiting for that to occur. For the streetscape idea, my main opposition is I have in my purview outside looking at my yard, I have growing power poles, not growing trees. I have 14 power poles so I have an industrial complex that's happening in front of me that I don't really like. So this right here is part of this opposition that I don't like, something that's going to be more industrialized rather than a community development type of event. So that's what I'd like to see. So that's what I'd like to see out of the plan, which the plan is not in maturity yet. So I'd like to see that before we go forward with something. So those are the high level notes that we have. Also associated with that is how we're going to, or if we're going to endorse a new traffic plan to accommodate buses? Or is there going to be a noise abatement for when there'll be low, noise within the community? Or will that be dampened at certain hours of the evening or start up early in the morning? Or do I need to come down and write something to say, hey, I'm not happy with noise at 4 in the morning that's happening over at the boutique hotel? And so those are issues, I guess, that are more convenience to the community rather than in the development stages. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the plan presents itself for the community, because I've seen the pseudo 2D drawings. I haven't seen the 3D and what the final process is going to be. And of course, there's going to be these deviations that are going to put into the overlay. So those are the things that I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Edwards.
Good afternoon. My name is Chester Baker. I live at 70 Hathaway Road North, which is straight across through the Botanic Gardens. My backyard faces that way. I can see the streetlights at the traffic circle at night from my backyard there. First, I want to say I'm not against the boutique hotel. I think it's going to be a neat thing there. I would like some restrictions in the B2 zoning that for the hours of the operation of the rooftop bar. I don't want to be out there at 10 o'clock at night listening to music or people having a great time up on that bar when I'm trying to go to bed or something like that. The neighborhood's quiet, children and elderly people, which I'm fast becoming. So that's one of the considerations. The other thing I had in the question is if it's rezoned B2, he still doesn't have to build the hotel. Is that correct? Okay. I just curious. There are uses in B2 that I don't think fit this area. I went through the long list of them and everything, and some of them are just like fast food restaurants with drive-thrus, automobile repair shops, let's see, auto service, car wash, because when you go out and they got those blowers, those things make a lot of noise type of thing. Lodges, clubs, things like that. One concern I do have, or one of my biggest concerns about this, is the event building that they are planning on putting there. These event buildings, for weddings and stuff, you could have 400, 600, depending on the size there, 800 people going there for a wedding reception. I would request that it be considered that that event building be restricted to a certain number of people and hours of operation. Don't know what that number is, but 200, 400, I wouldn't think more than that, 400, but I'm not sure. And then the hours of operation, I think, are critical, just like I think even at the shopping center up the street, there's hours of operation that the dumpsters are not allowed. They don't come and pick up in the middle of the night type of thing. You don't do things. So restrictions on that for the property there, I think would be very important to do with that. I drink coffee, but I wouldn't want a Starbucks or Black Rifle Coffee or anything. They're taking orders over the microphone early in the morning and that type of thing. Lighting, which I know with the city, want to make sure that the lighting doesn't shine back onto the neighborhoods. I know I won't be able to see the stars quite as good, but that's, that's all part of it. I'll be able to maybe see the fourth floor of the hotel. Let's see. I would like, I would assume, and hopefully, if there's an event type of building or something like that done, that a policeman would be required to be there, that there would be no parking allowed on Museum Drive at all. And that, you know, if people are there, then they would have to be proactive to have those towed off so as to not impede that thing. And on hours of operation, I know 9 o'clock's not going to work, but 10 o'clock. So that when people leave there, if you have 300 people leaving that venue, that's a lot of traffic, a lot of noise going on at that time of night. So just some restrictions on those types of uses and that type of thing, I think would be fit with the intent of the Spring Hill master plan there and the community there, a walking community, quiet place for everybody to live and enjoy. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Anyone else to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. And while he's making his way down, I will point out that the city does have noise ordinances, so compliance within those would need to be met. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Alonzo Yelling. I reside at 3828 Mordecai Lane, 36608, of course. And I'm kind of speaking on behalf of myself and a couple of neighbors. And I just want to kind of share some concerns that came to me. While we all support the commerce and business development, there are some of us that feel like this may have an adverse effect on our neighborhood. When we think about the access and everything, you're having to come in from Spring Hill, Old Shell, or Dolphin, and accessing either through McGregor or Museum Drive. This is already a very congested area, and thinking about that little short span from the roundabout to Spring Hill, when we're talking about ingress and egress, and also getting into the actual neighborhood side streets, that can create a lot of additional traffic. And because it's St. Paul's, St. Ignatius, Mary B. Austin, Spring Hill College, the check-in, check-out times can have also an overbearing effect on the traffic there. It's been mentioned already, but then you also have the deliveries, the trash pickup, and everything else that can create noise in the early morning hours, and then, of course, the late night traffic. One of the other things that has been discussed is safety-wise. That area, most people know, is a very walkable area, and which is a good thing. It's also a very child-friendly area, I would say. And one of the things that keeps coming to me is, from a safety standpoint, we have children either, walking dogs, riding bikes, going back and forth to school, and now we're putting a hotel right there that we're bringing outsiders into the neighborhood. And I hate to use that term, outsiders, but when you think about some of the things that we hear about at some of the other hotels, we think about the potential for abduction, trafficking, and that kind of thing. And even though, we like to say that there are things that safeguard against the sex offenders, when we're talking about short-term stays, they don't have to register when they move around just for a short-term stay. So it's just some safety issues that keep coming back that make us a little bit concerned, that we just want to make sure as this goes forward, the necessary precautions are put into effect to mitigate as many of those possible things as we can. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yelling. I'll now allow the applicant or the developer time to address those comments that were made. And while he or they are making their way down, I'll point out the comments to commissioners that were made available to you in your folders, in addition to the web-based comments folder, which are representative of this event, in this application. Go ahead, Mr. Burton.
Okay, so we're here for specifically a rezoning with the intent of the ability to eventually come before the Planning Commission to gain approval for a project. We are mindful of the community that we're developing in, so we thought it would be prudent to show at least a concept of what we were envisioning. So with respect to the details that are being asked for, I mean, we're not there yet. Right now, there is no path for us to develop this site because of the zoning. This is a site that's owned by the city. The default zoning is an R1. It was the city's goal to take this site, which was surplus real estate, and put it into a different state. So they ran a process, which we were selected. So regardless of who was going to develop the site, it was going to have to go through a rezoning if it was going to be anything different than a single-family residence. Single-family residential was not feasible on this site given the topography. There was about 45 feet of fall from the east side to the west side of the property. So it was going to have commercial application due to the topography challenges. So again, when we were starting the rezoning process, we knew that everyone was going to want to know what our vision was with the site. So we went ahead and spent some additional dollars to at least develop a concept on what our vision was with it, knowing full well that we weren't at that level, but if we are granted the zoning, that comes next. But to your point earlier, I mean, that use will have to confine to all the ordinances that exist today. B2 is in the area. I mean, it's directly north. It's across the street on across the street on Spring Hill Avenue. The whole intersection, Old Shell and McGregor, all of that is B2. B2 zoning is appropriate for this site. So with that, I kind of concede my time, I guess.
Any questions or further comments from commissioners for the developer? All right, thank you, Mr. Burton. We'll move on to what I believe is the last agenda item, number 10. We can welcome back Mr. Kenny Nichols from his recusal seat. This is a dual application, double modification at the northwest corner of Loyola Lanes and Provident Lane, St. Paul's Episcopal School. The major modification of a previously approved planning approval allowing the expansion of an existing church school in an R1 single-family residential district to allow construction of a soccer field. And then the major modification of a PUD, amending a previously approved master plan for an existing church school, R1, to allow construction of another soccer field. For consideration here, we have 8 findings of fact, potentially 6 listed conditions for both modifications. Go ahead, sir.
Sean Estes with McCrory & Williams, 3207 International Drive. I'm here representing St. Paul's, and they're good with all the considerations. I just had one question about the that D number 2 includes adequate public facilities. I presume that's restrooms? Is that?
Restrooms?
Is that what that is?
That is not a condition of approval. It's just a finding of fact that if the actual development as proposed would meet any of these criteria, the Planning Commission can approve it based on those criteria. Okay. It's not a condition.
Okay. And then that number 1 condition about the existing building to remain on the site plan, on the site, that has since been removed. The school doesn't see it's feasible to retain that building, so that one could be done away with.
Mr. Estes, repeat that, what you're making reference to. Is that under?
That's number 1. Revision of the site plan to state the proposed use of existing building to remain on the site with the new soccer fields. There's an existing building that we had noted to remain on the PUD, but it no longer is to remain.
All right, so I'm going to ask staff if that should apply to both modification applications or just one specifically?
To both of them.
Got it.
So has it been demoed or is it being demoed?
It has not been demoed, correct? No.
But it's planned to be
It
demoed?
will, yeah. I mean, there's other structures on the site that are to be demoed. There was one that they were thinking about keeping and utilizing, but it wasn't cost effective to keep it and renovate it. So they've elected to just remove it as well. Okay.
Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this potential project? All right, seeing none, I'll now ask if there's anyone in the, thank you, Mr. Estes. Is anyone else in the audience here to speak for this agenda item or have questions about it? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to it? All right, seeing none, I will also make commissioners aware you have comments in your comment folder on agenda item 10. And we will close the public hearing session of this meeting. We'll move on to our deliberation. Number 1, 61 South McGregor Avenue. We have a recusal from Mr. Kirk Matei. We still maintain a quorum for this agenda item. The applicant is not present and no material changes since the previous meeting. Entertain a motion.
I move to deny the application for subdivision.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded for denial of the application. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for denial passes. Number 2, we can welcome back Mr. Kirk Matei. Number 2, 1600 University Boulevard South, originally set for potential denial of the application, since changed to recommended for approval based on material changes to the application specific to fire. The applicant is present and was in agreement with those listed items, of which there were 18 listed conditions.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Mr.
Go.
Chairman, I have a comment.
Go ahead, Mr. Nichols.
If we can, I was actually talking with Mr. Amberger about this. With respect to one of the engineering comments, sorry, Nick, where was I? There was a comment, hold on, give me 2 seconds. I wrote it down and then I didn't follow through writing. Where'd it go?
I think what we wanted to be clear about is the future private driveway is shown on parcels of property. It's not a common parcel, so we wanted to verify that the future drive is in fact not going to be asked for the city to maintain, which I think we understood with it being presented as a private drive, it would not be coming to the city to maintain. And we do believe it probably should be in a common area itself, in a parcel of land. It looks like as it's proposed, it is part of the lots, and it's just the ingress egress easement that only applies to 3 of the lots instead of the entire subdivision.
Yeah, I think I found it. It's engineering comment I. If we can just add a note that that private drive shall also be the responsibility of the property owner, not the responsibility of the city of Mobile.
It's in the common area, or at least that's what the intent is.
I'm sorry.
The intent of it is for it to be in the common area.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think we understand it that way, Corey. I think just if we can on the engineering comment I, just amend it to
so-
include that as well.
So I would like to amend my motion to include the amendment that Mr. Nichols mentioned.
And just to reassure the commission, when it does come across my desk for review, I will make sure that the city is not going to be maintaining that private drive.
We have a properly amended motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes for approval. New applications, number 3 on the agenda, 2900 Old Shell Road, the Hayes Place subdivision. The applicant is present in agreement with the 9 listed conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision passes. Number 4, 2022 and 2102 Shelton Beach Road Extension. The applicant is present and in agreement with the 7 listed conditions.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision passes. Number 5, subdivision at the south side of Raven Drive, at the south terminus of Cardinal Drive East, extending south to the east terminus of East Gulf Field Drive. The applicant is present, may comment towards number 5 in the conditions, and was in agreement with all conditions.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations with a note with regards to note number 5, that drainage easements will be identified and memorialized post subdivision plat recording.
Properly moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision passes. Number 6, subdivision at 4297 Riviere Duchesne Road.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations, eliminating condition number 4.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision passes. Number 7, dual application, subdivision, and modification. We will take them separately.
Move to approve subdivision application, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded for the subdivision. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for the subdivision passes. The modification for commissioners, there are potentially 8 findings of fact and 18 listed conditions here.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations, adopting findings of facts A through H.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A through H. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for modification passes. Number 8, 5808 US Highway 90 West. The applicant is present and in agreement with holdover request to June 12th.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Holdover till June 12th is granted for 5808 US Highway 90 West. Number 9, dual application, subdivision, and rezone. Subdivision and rezone will be taken separately at 720 Museum Drive. Subdivision applicant is present. Multiple comments from staff regarding Article 13 of the Spring Hill Village Overlay to conditions 3, 4, and 6, if considered.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations, modifying notes 3, 4, and 6.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded on the subdivision. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Nichols, for recusing yourself. We still maintain a quorum on that. Failed to mention it. On the rezone, this is a rezone of R1 to B2. Potentially 7 findings of fact and 2 listed conditions. The applicant is present.
Did this one also have amendments that we needed to do, or was that just the sub?
It was just the subdivision.
Okay. I would move to approve, subject to findings of fact. Move to approve, subject to staff recommendation with findings of fact. These are numbered weirdly. H? No, that's not right. Where's my findings of fact list? There we go. A, C, D, E, F, and G.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A, C, D, E, F, and G. Any discussion? All in favor for the rezone?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for rezone passes. We can welcome back Mr. Nichols. And we have the final agenda item, which is number 10, dual application modifications. I'll ask staff or Mr. Anderson if we can, do we need to separate these because they're similar? Or keep them as if they're similar, or separate them? Okay. Any efficiencies we can get. We will take both modifications, entertain a motion. There are potentially 8 findings of fact and 6 listed conditions, of which the applicant was present and in agreement.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations adopting findings of facts A through H and striking comment number 1. For the existing building to remain on site, striking the comment.
Yeah, on both.
From each modification application, and that motion has been made, and we have a second? Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for modifications passes. It closes the deliberation session. We have other business. Subdivisions. I'll turn it over to, this is the first time that I've seen other business subdivisions. Yeah.
Yeah. I can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, please do. This is at 812 Edwards Avenue and 429 Lincoln Boulevard.
So the Planning Commission reviewed this application, I can't remember if it was April or March, and approved it with conditions subject to staff recommendations, et cetera. One of which was to provide 60-foot right-of-way dedication along Edwards Avenue. The applicant was not present at that time or was not aware of that condition after it was approved until later in the, I don't know if it was the meeting or the next day, but we received correspondence that that was not something that was feasible. And so their request was for the Planning Commission to review it administratively in this setting to amend that condition only. I believe the applicant is here to discuss that further.
All right. Go right ahead, state your name and address, and then we'll hear what's going on.
Jake Mosley, 5588 Jackson Road. So we believe it was just maybe carried over from Edwards Street to Edwards Avenue. Edwards Street has a 60-foot right-of-way. Edwards Avenue has a 30-foot right-of-way. So we're pretty much just asking for that to be changed from 30 to 15, and we reflect the 15 from the center line in our drawing.
Where is the,
Yeah.
the address of the San Antonio?
This is on 812 Edwards Avenue.
Do we have any?
No, it's not a public hearing, so we did not prepare any map images for you.
You can look at Josh's.
So I guess just confirmation, this is in the Plateau community, kind of north of Bay Bridge Road. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
The actual location of the property, it's in the Plateau community, north of Bay Bridge Road, near Mobile County Training School.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
That's correct. It is.
Okay.
That's our survey showing the property and showing our dedicated 15-foot from the center line.
Are y'all looking for something different?
Restate, Mr. Mosley, your distances.
So we believe that it says 30 feet from the center line. We believe that would apply to Edwards Street, not Edwards Avenue. Edwards Avenue is 30-foot right away, so we would have the 15-foot from the center line instead of 30.
I would move to approve subject to staff recommendations.
Was that a second from Nick? Josh? I'll ask him. Nick, have you had a chance to look at that?
Yeah, I think that just for clarity, we were initially required dedication, and we come back and they're saying that the dedication is just not practical and it can't be done. Is that correct? So we're removing that condition.
Yes, sir. We need to make it 15. So,
Yeah, I see it now.
I can see from here how tiny it is.
The house is in that dedication.
Okay. We have a properly moved and seconded, and this is for both or just Edwards?
Just Edwards Avenue.
All right, we have a properly moved and seconded Edward Avenue, 15 feet dedication from center line.
I'm gonna just conservatively recuse. I know we've done stuff over in Africatown, and I can't remember if I recused from this one before.
We still maintain a quorum with Mr. McKay's recusal. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. And then do we need to do same applicant? Different applicant?
This is a different applicant.
All right, go ahead.
So the request here was pretty similar. There was a dedication that was greater than the existing right-of-way at this location on 12th Street. The applicant is here and can discuss that further with you. This was actually done at the April 17th meeting.
Zeke Hudson, Row Engineering, 3502 Laughlin Drive, Mobile. If you'll remember, this particular, the 12th Street in Lincoln, it's a very old subdivision. The original lot sizes were 25 feet. And right now, we're being asked to dedicate 25 feet from the center line of 12th Street, which is currently a 30-foot right-of-way. If you look at that old subdivision, the houses that are constructed now are extremely close to the road. Some of them, I think, are only like 8 foot behind the curb. We would like to not have to dedicate. If we do, it's going to basically kill Lot 1 if we have to give up roughly. Right now, we're showing 15 feet to the existing center line. If we give up another 10 to get to your 25, it's not really going to leave any buildable area, so we'd like to remove that condition.
And just a reminder to the commission, this site did go before the planning commission previously, was held over to the April meeting so that they could go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment to receive a setback variance for this lot to be reduced as a result of the required dedication, which they did receive, yes.
And it's the 12th Street dedication that's in question, not.
That's the
anything
problem
on
side, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve.
We have a properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes. Final item on here is batch review of minutes from the following planning commission meetings: February 2nd, 2023, 15th of February, 2nd and 16th of March, 6th and 20th of April. Entertain a motion to approve those minutes in a batch.
Move to approve this batch of minutes.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes passes. Any further business? Meeting adjourned.